Welcome to Petrohead's Simracing Widowmaker Series Round 4 at Brands Hatch, here in West Kingston, Kent, England. I'm Adam Stewart, your host for today. Qualifying is just finished, and we find that Henrik Andreasen has grabbed the pole yet again. Outside of row 1 is Andy Darnell. In row 2, we find John Spriggs and Thomas Ibero. In row 3, Matty Renault and Timo Konecny. Row 4, John Janchik and Javier Lopez. Row 5, Vic Vega and Andreas Sieg. And in row 6, we find Andreas Ebert and Marco Tricolo. We got a good one for you today, folks. The points battle is heating up. Timo Konecny's consistency is paying dividends as he leads the championship by 7 points going into today's race. He is chased by none other than Petrohead's fearless leader, Andy Darnell. In third, we find a tie between John Spriggs and Henrik Andreasen. But it gets better because those 4 drivers make up the team's first and second in the team championship. Timo and John are leading the team championship by a slim margin of 7 points. And we've seen Timo and Andy go at it every race so far. Will that trend continue? We've seen Henrik run away from the pack only to spin and end up having them right back in it. We've seen John just hang around trying to not make mistakes. So what trends will continue today? Will someone else step up and show their strengths? Let's find out together as we watch these drivers take the Widowmaker out on track. This 3.9 kilometer track is popular among many sim racers' hearts due to its unique layout. It has multiple off-camber turns that make even the best drivers struggle. We will be running at the full Grand Prix circuit today, starting off at Brabant Straight, an off-camber curved stretch heading into Paddock Hill Bend, and plunging down a roller coaster-like dip and back up into Druid's Hairpin. This is one of the best places to do an overtake. Exiting Druid's, we find ourselves heading back downhill towards Graham Hill Bend, which is another off-camber turn, down the short chute of Cooper Straight, which is slightly bent, and then go through Surtees, which is an uphill turn, before moving onto the longest straight of the track, Pilgrim's Drop. This is another great opportunity to set up a pass by using the draft to get some overspeed on your opponent. Then the track loops around 3 mid-speed turns, Hawthorne Hill, Westfield, and the blind curve of Sheen. And let's not forget that in between Westfield and Sheen is Dingle Dell Straight, which is slightly straight. Then we hit Sterling's, a left-hander, which is actually cambered correctly, and head down Clearways toward Clark Curve, which is the last of the off-camber turns. From there, we head towards the start-finish line. Now would be a great time for you to hit that like button. It's free and you know you want to. Subscribe and hit that bell if you want to see more. And if you have any comments, good or bad, please be sure to leave them below. I would love to hear what you all are thinking about the racing so far. And if you're interested in joining Petrohead Sim Racing's community and participating in some of these races, the link to their Discord is in the description below. So go grab some snacks and a drink and get comfortable as the drivers are testing their last minute changes, and we are just moments away from the start of this race. Warm-up is done, tech inspection is being completed, and I am so excited. The individual points battle, the team points battle, and the battle to keep this car under control has got me ready to explode like a popcorn kernel in a microwave. And in the words of the immortal Darrell Waltrip,
boogity, 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 let's go racing, drivers!
And they're off. As usual, Andy Darnell gets a fantastic start. He's got Thomas Ibarro following him into turn 1. Everything is clean through turn 1 and turn 2. Marco Tricolo got disqualified there from trying to start from the pit lane. I have had that happen to me before. If you don't make it onto the starting grid, you just have to sit there, otherwise you do get disqualified. We saw that he was moving, trying to get out there onto the grid. We got John Janchik right behind John Spriggs. We've seen these two have a battle or two. Ian went a little bit off camber there. That's that off camber turn. Surtees got him. John has a love-hate relationship with this car, I believe, because he tends to drive really fast and he's good at it, and then the car reaches out and bites him. John and Timo came together there. John coming out the worse for wear, getting out into that gravel. That's a tough thing. Once you go in, it sucks you all the way in. We've seen Vic Vega doing good things during the year. This championship has not been kind to him, though. This car has bit him a ton. Timor, points leader, trying to track down Matty Renault. And it looks like Ian has given up on the car, or maybe he might have wrecked again and slapped the back end. Once you hit the back end of this car, that's where the engine is located. Once you hit it, you end up hurting that engine really easily. Henrik obviously did not have the start he wanted. He's all the way back to 5th position. Rounds the Clark curve heading down Brabham Straight. Thomas Ibarro chasing down Andy Darnell. Matty Renault is another one who probably loves and hates this car. Seems like him and John will be going just fine right along, and all of a sudden the Widowmaker takes her toll. Look at this draft. Look at how fast he's closing up on him. Oh, and Thomas has gone around. Trying to get it back straightened out. All the way back to 6th from 2nd place, back to 7th. And he's back rolling all the way back to 9th position. Tough break for Thomas. good, clean racing so far. We got Matty here trying to get to Timo. In the top four, the top four in points again. Andy Darnell, John Spriggs, Henrik Andreasen, and Timo Konechny. Someone who's missing from today's race is Kubo. That's Christian Kubovic. He's another one who tends to both love and hate this car. Hendrick is talking to John saying, look, I need to come by here. You know I'm faster than you. Just let me go. John saying, I'll just be steady. Just going to keep on driving. If you want around me, you got to make it happen. That's not easy in this car. Especially when you got drivers that are so evenly matched. Hendrick looking left, looking right here, trying to find a way around. Showing John his headlights, getting in his mirrors, trying to get in John's head. And the ground goes Javier. Remember, don't push that gas too hard, Javier. You can spin right around again. Thomas trying to recover from his spin. John says not so fast. He went around the outside and said, I can hang it out here. Oh, they're both sideways. That was close. Neither one of them were on the ideal line, but they both held it. It's good close racing, showing lots of respect. Look at Thomas, he is all kinds of sideways. I'm not sure what happened there. Did John miss a shift or what? Because Thomas just blew right by him. Hendrick still trying to get around John here. Coming up into T1, Paddock Hill Bend, heading, well actually that was Druids, and heading down into Graham Hill Bend. This off-camber left-hander into another off-camber left-hander in Surtees. Oh, look at Hendrick, he jumped to the inside, he's sideways. Oh, he's taking them both out. He has spun. He is going to be the gentleman and let John get going before he jumps back on track. That's very, very, very much unlike Hendrick to spin and hit somebody. There's Vic Vega from Tugas Racing International, I guess. That's what it looks like to me. He is riding right along. Andreas Seed from the 944 Housewives Racing Team. And Thomas Ibero has DNF'd. Trying to get around John, he might have spun. We didn't catch that on the replay. Hendrick is off again. Wonder if he injured the back end of that car when he touched John. He's definitely struggling with the handle of it now. Andreas Saig must have spent a lot of money to get his car shown over and over again. The director is loving his car. And Matty Renault is off track, handing that position back to John Spriggs. Look at the front end of that car. Lost his bumper. You can see how it affects the turn right away. Wouldn't you know it, Andy Darnell and Timo Konechny knows the tip. Well, they're up in front. Andy's kind of running away with this. He's got a 5-second lead. Vic Vega now putting some pressure onto Matty. I'm sure that Matty's car is not handling as good as it could be going into the turns. He's probably having a hard time keeping his brakes heated up. There's probably a ton more air hitting those brakes and cooling them off, making it so they don't work as well. Must not have hurt any of the suspension. Oh, there's some sparks. Look at that. Oh, the sparks. That front end is just diving down. He did hurt the suspension. That's going to make it tough to drive out. He's still got another 7 minutes to go through this race. Now we got Hendrick joining the fray. He's going to make that pass on Matty Renault. Two corners, he took out both Vic Vega and Matty Renault. And there we see Matty having a hard time getting the car stopped, and Vic just drove around the inside of it. Sure what's going on with Javier, but he's been on and off track a couple times in this last lap and a half. Well, probably his single lap. Our biggest movers were Timo Konechny and Vic Vega. And our biggest losers at the moment is going to be Thomas Ibero. Here we got Andy Darnell having a pretty lonely race, but I'm sure he's enjoying it. And you can see the difference between the two front ends of Matty Renault and John Janchik. As we catch a front of his, hopefully we'll see the other one again. There you can see the difference in the front ends. No sparks coming out of John's vehicle. And Javier Lopez back into the wall again. Look at the front end of that. He's going to be dragging. That suspension's going to be hurting. Making any left turns are going to be tough for him. You have to have patience in this car. I know John can see him up there. Probably knows he's struggling, seeing sparks. But you got to be patient. You can't go too gung-ho. This car will reach out and bite you. You can just watch how John is tracking down Matty here. Every time they're in the corners, he just starts to catch him. Every time they hit their brakes, because Matty's vehicle is not braking like it should. Got 3/10 in that one corner. Now, these guys are teammates, so you would hope that Matty would just pull over and let him go. But sometimes you get that competitive urge inside you, and you just can't. Sometimes it's hard to just say, let me just let this guy go. But now's the time to do it. It's your teammate. You know he's faster than you. You got a hurt car. I don't think he pulled over there. I think he went off track. But either way, John is buying. At this point, John's got a long road to try to see if he's going to catch up to Henrik, because there's a 10-second gap there. There's really no two cars that are really close to each other anymore on the track. We're just going to be enjoying watching the cars go around here and there. We got Andy Darnell back out front still, 4.5 seconds. Just kind of cruising along, keeping the car under him. Going through Surtees. Heading back up through Pilgrim's Drop. Vic Vega is starting to track down Matty Renault. It was 2 seconds behind him, but obviously that braking, we've talked about it. Matty's having a hard time with the brakes, and every time they go into turns, that's where the cars behind him start to catch him. As the two of them go through Surtees, heading up through Pilgrim's Drop. I'm not sure that Vic is close enough for the draft, but if there's any draft to be had, he's going to get it. Coming up into Hawthorne Hill. It's a right-hander. Be patient, Vic. Be patient. Don't get too excited. Oh, and John is off track again. Look at that car leap over the sand. Lucky he's not going to break some suspension doing that. Now you got two drivers with Matty and Vic who are saying top 5. Okay. Matty wants to hold on to it. Vic is saying, oh, I got a chance. I'm going to try to get up there and get it. I got 1 lap left to do it. Let's go. And off he goes. Commentator's curse. Back on track. John's going to get around him. as they're going through Cooper Straight down towards Surtees. Head back uphill and down Pilgrim's Drop, and Hendrick has gone around again. This car has been biting him over and over again today. Will he get it going and keep fourth position? He had a substantial lead, and it looks like he is going to get it going and keep that fourth place position. Vic is still trying to get after the another position. He's pushing John as hard as he can. So coming down Dingle Dell, heading towards Sheen Curve into Sterling's. Here's going through Sterling's, the only cambered correctly turned in the whole track. Heading down Clearways, going towards Clark Curve. And there's our last finisher of the race. And here's your final standings of race one. Andy Darnell in first with Timo Konecny in second. John Spriggs in third. Henrik Andreasen in fourth. Matty Renault fifth. John Jenchik in sixth. Vic Vega in seventh. Andreas Ebert in eighth. Andreas Sieg in ninth. Javier Lopez in 10th. As we get ready for race two, I want to remind all of you that the top 5 finishers from race 1 are inverted. So position 1 is now going to be position 5, and position 5 now 1. With that being said, we have seen many races where Andy Darnell has the knack of getting a start off the line and jumping right out in front of everyone. So will Andy get another start from the gods? If he does and repeats what he did in race 1, we will have a new points leader. Let's get this underway and find out.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, drivers!
And Andy Darnell with another start from the gods. His teammate out in front of him, Henrik Andreasen, going into turn 1. Henrik has had some troubles already going off track into turn 1. He's way outside into that dirt. And we are right back where we left off in the first race. Andy Darnell in first, John Spriggs in second, and Timo Konecny in third. I know these drivers have done some adjustments during the halftime. All we got to see is who made the right adjustments. I'm sure that Timo is aware that right now Andy is going to be leading the points. He is not liking this idea at all. John and Timo coming up just nose to tail their teammates. Behind them is Thomas Ribeiro, who ended up wrecking out of race 1. We know he's fast. We also know this car can bite you. It's bit him a couple times. Hendrick has fallen all the way back to last position and was off track again. This is not his weekend. That is a fact. He is struggling. And around goes Matty Renault. He'll get it going in the right direction again. And the fight for third position is on. There it is. Ibero going down to the inside. John's not letting Andy get away this time. Seemed like last race, Andy just drove away from everybody. The corrections they did to their cars, looks like John made the right corrections. At least he's hanging with Andy this time. But if things go the way it would last race, they're going to have their hands full with Thomas Ibero. He's up 8 positions already in this race. That's our biggest mover. Our biggest loser is both Matty Renault and Hendrik Andreasen. Negative 10 positions for both of them. They both started on the front row. They're finding themselves in the back. So coming up down Brabham Straight, heading into Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, Matty Renault took some damage. Oh, Andreas Sieg has DNF'd. Going into Druids here. Ibero has caught Mr. Spriggs and is right there on his back end. Now they're heading down the Cooper Straight into Surtees. This is where you come out of here. You can get a great draft down this long Pilgrim drop straight. Coming down into Hawthorne Hill, taking a right turn. This is all those turns, right turn, right turn, right turn. All still where they're at through there, coming through Westfield. Now going through the slight Dingle Dell, as they call this straight. Slight right here. Going into Sheen Curve. Ooh, look at this sideways. Starting to get dicey back here. Taking the left turn through Sterling's, heading down Clairways into Clark Curve. Oh, and around goes Marco Tricolo. And that is lap number 3. Still no change at the front. Thomas Ibero, it looks like he has learned from his mistakes in the first couple of races and last week. He is taking his time here, not pushing the envelope too hard yet. Hopefully he can keep that car under him. Oh, and Matty Renault off again. That might have done that car in. He hit the rear end just enough. It might have hurt it. He's back on track. You can sure look at the damage on the front end already. You can see a lot of it. He's going to be struggling to make that thing turn. Back up here, I'm really impressed with John. He's not letting Andy get away. He's got some pressure from behind. He's not giving into it. But we know that John is cool like the other side of the pillow. He doesn't rattle easily. It looks like John Janchik is on his way back towards the front. He had a bad start. It looks like he almost spun it at the beginning, but he seems to have recovered. Got himself back to 5th. I think he started 7th in this race. Going into Druids, Ibero got him. It's one of the best passing places on the track. You've got a lot of speed. You're going uphill, so the brakes work that much better. Oh, and Ibero's wide. Spriggs is going up his inside. Side by side, heading down here into Hawthorne Hill. And John takes this position back. They're still nose to tail, coming through Sheen Curve, heading down to Sterling's. Thomas is filling John's mirrors, reminding him, I am right here. John takes a defensive line going into Clark Curve. Basically telling Thomas, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to go around the outside.
Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
We know Thomas, he doesn't mind trying that. Still hanging out there. He gets to run out of the corner. He's got to brake a little bit earlier. Otherwise, he'll end up going too wide. They're still side by side. Heading down towards Graham Hill Bend. And Ibero gets the position. That corner is not Ibero's favorite. That is a position or place that he tends to have some trouble going wide there almost every lap now. Now that fight that they've been having is letting Andy get away. He's now almost 2 seconds in front of everybody. Remember, he just drove away from everybody in the first race. John just hanging on to the rear bumper of Thomas Ibero, hoping he's going to drag him right up there back into contention with Andy Darnell. Timo was doing a little drifting back there. Cutting back to the Graham Hill Bend, heading towards Surtees. And it looks like Thomas got that corner the way he wanted it that time. And we got John and Vic going at it. They're coming up into Surtees as well. And Thomas Ibero is off track. So is Marco Trocolo. Oh, and around he goes again. That's that Widowmaker. You got to be careful when you push on that throttle. Andy Darnell is loving what he is seeing out back. These guys fighting for position is letting him just slowly drive away. Ooh, some lap traffic here. Marco doing the right thing, staying off to the side, waiting for these guys to pass. Oh, Hendrick's gone around again. He had just made it back up to where he was going to start tracking down for position number 4, but then spun it again. I've never seen Hendrick have this much trouble on any track. Now, John is actually tracking down Andy. He's got it down to 1 second from that 2-second gap that Andy had built up is slowly disappearing. And Matty Renault, that front end is messed up. Is he going to be able to make those right turns with the right side of that bumper hanging down? I'm sorry, left turns. I'm wondering if when Thomas went off track, if maybe something happened to his car. Maybe the suspension got hurt bouncing around in the sand. Because he's starting to lose some time to John. The time between John and Andy has just settled down to be 1 second. Depending on the corner, one goes through it faster than the other. You got Timo just lurking back there in fourth, hoping that these guys will all start fighting where he can catch up and get into the fight himself. Ooh, Thomas is pushing the envelope. It's not going to be long before the Widowmaker jumps out and bites him. We've seen it time and time again. I have not seen anybody being able to push this car like that and survive. So it's just a matter of time. Vic Vegas taking a little damage to the front end of that car. Better the front than the back. You hit the back here, that motor's just gone. And just like that, John is right on the rear end of Darnell. We got us a race for first, guys. Let's see what's going to happen here. I think this is the first time Andy's had pressure. There's only 5 minutes left, but can John do anything with it? Almost makes you wonder if maybe Andy was bored out there and decided he'd like to have somebody to race with. I would think he loves being out front. I would imagine that it's just a matter of his car's wearing out. Maybe he's getting tired. Needs a nap. He started seeing John in his rear mirrors like that. He started to pick it up again. So we saw last time how John made up about 0.4 seconds on him going into Paddock Hill Bend. Down this straight, down the Brabham Straight, he really got caught up to him in Paddock Hill Bend. Let's see if that continues this time. He's only 0.4 behind him now. He closed right up on his bumper there. I wonder if Andy might have overheated his brakes. He's a little wide there. Right about now, John is tasting his fumes. He's ready to go by him. Oh, and John's on his inside. They're side by side heading down Pilgrim's Drop towards Hawthorne Hill. Andy has the preferred line. John's not going to let it go. He's going to stick it on the outside. Going around the outside of him here through Hawthorne Hill down Derek Minter Straight. And here they are coming through. He got it done in Westfield. And that's the first time Andy's been passed all day long. Now Andy's got to say, I got to get back up there. Problem is he's got Thomas coming down his side. Andy is getting swarmed. We know Thomas doesn't mind going around the outside.
Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Now it's John's turn to say, I need to check out. You guys just keep racing back there so that I can get out of here. Thomas is still our biggest mover of the day with 8 positions gained. Things seem to have settled down for a moment here. With things slowing down the way they are, now would be a great time for you to hit that like button. You know you want to. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Just a little click of your fingers, all it takes. Some fantastic racing going on here at Brands Hatch. These guys are going at it. 1, 2, 3. You could throw a blanket over these guys. Let's just make it a chamois. Clean those cars. It's the first time Andy's cars had to be cleaned on the front windshield since he hasn't had anybody in front of him all day. Now he's smelling John's exhaust. Oh no, Timo Konecny went off. It looks like he's going to keep that position. He had quite a substantial lead over John Janchik. Still does. Andreas Ebert. We haven't heard or seen anything from him in this race, but there he is. Unfortunately, the way we got him to see him go off track. And we got John and Hendrick going at it. This is for 5th position. So I'm looking up my scoring pile and I can see that Thomas Ibero has gone off track. He lost all kinds of time to the front 2. He's trying to scrub those tires of all the dirt that got on him when he went off track. Hendrick making the pass on John. Here we got Vic Vega coming to the end of the race. Andreas Ebert is going to be next. And at this point, Matt Renault is probably wishing it was all over. Just saying, I just want to get across the finish line. We've seen him go across the finish line and do little spins and stuff on purpose. See if he does it again. He's drifting it. Ooh, don't hit the back end. You might not make it to the finish line. And he was called to the planet. Marco Tricolo is going back to Mars. And that is the race, folks. John Spriggs pulls it out and gets a win. Let's take a look at these results. We got John Spriggs in first, followed by Andy Darnell in second. Third was Thomas Ibero, and fourth is Timo Konecny. Fifth is Hendrik Andreasen. Sixth, Jan Jančík. And seventh is Vic Vega. Eighth, Andreas Ebert. Ninth, Matty Renault. And in 10th, Marco Tricolo. Finishing off the field is Javier Lopez, Andreas Sieg, and Ian Victor. All right, as we take a look at the point standing, we can see we have a new leader, Andy Darnell. With that first and second position he finished today, he definitely got some points on his side. In second, we find Timo Konecny. In third is John Spriggs. In fourth, Hendrik Andreasen. Matt Renault is in fifth. Christian Kubovic, who did not show up today, is in sixth. John Jančík is in seventh. Mario Gaspar, who also did not show up today, is in eighth. Samuel Oliveira, who's only raced our very first race, is in ninth. And to round out our top 10 is Thomas Ibero. And in our team categories, we find no change. We still find Timo Konecny and John Spriggs in first, and Andy Darnell and Hendrik Andreasen in second. That's going to be it for us today, folks. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to leave a like. Stay cool like the other side of the pillow.